manage their homes.
One of the responsibilities that we have for the communities that we serve is to give them health enlightenment campaign, to help them know the good things about immunization and family planning. That immunization is completely safe and family planning is completely safe. So we are telling them not to run away from that. We have seen several people going to talk about family planning or immunization. They say they are not interested, that they think they give disease, they give virus. So we now have that burden on us to come and enlighten the community again. It helps to prevent disease and their children will be safe. And then for family planning, helps them to keep their family in a small circle and help them to organize their family. Also prevent unwanted pregnancy.
Meanwhile, the chief nursing officer of the hospital, Akuesie Sarah, outlined key reasons why child immunization should not be neglected in a separate interview. A mother who recently immunized her child at a hospital alongside the hospital's doctor urged parents to overcome any fears of immunization. The Mamuzo Hospital Dr. Benjamin urged community members to visit any accredited center closest to them for vaccinations, family planning, and for further information. Finally, Russian authorities say 3 people have been killed and 35 taken to hospital following an attack by Ukraine on a factory in the city of Izek, more than 620 miles from the border. The governor of Odmontia, Alexander Brekalov, said he had briefed President Vladimir Putin on the attack. He said drones reportedly targeted the Kupol electrochemical plant, a military factory which is said to produce TOR surface-to-air missile systems and radar stations. To reach the news team, send an SMS or WhatsApp to 0808 721 7215. I'm Sam Chinedu. Thanks for listening. 31st day already. I'm conflicted between saying Happy New Month and Happy Birthday. Well, a friend of mine happens to be born many years ago on this particular day. Her name is Tamara Laurels Ibekwe. She's a music director. She's one of those kind of people that you call the problem and the solution all in one, a total package. And believe me, true to that description, that's exactly what she is. But at the core of it, she is an amazing person. I'm hoping she's not listening to this and nobody that knows her will say I said this. But yeah, she's okay. So part of knowing her personally is that I get to do. Yeah, so happy birthday, Tamara. I wish you all the best, God's blessings, all the amazing things that you want for your life, and the surprise that comes with the abundance of God's grace. Okay. Now that felt like a chore. It was like I had to do it under duress. Now, what does not feel like a chore is the conversation that needs to happen right now. We're going political. The PDP, my goodness. Somehow, if the PDP were a brand, if they were a business, they would sell. Not because they are doing business well, but because they have publicity. And you know what they say? No publicity is bad. But the PDP has been getting lots of bad PR lately. And well, for that reason, if we're judging it based on that, yes, they are quite the party. Well, they're in the news again. Yesterday, was it yesterday or the day before? Yes, had to be yesterday, where they needed to have a meeting and the police told them, nope, it's not happening. Well, there have been reactions to that. People have been talking about that engagement. Some have pointed fingers and said, oh, this person sent the police to come and disrupt our meeting. Others have said it's not true, it's false, but we can all agree. Because friends and enemies unite for this particular point, that the PDP has a lot on its plate, and if it does not fix its house, it might not see anything come 2027. Well, a chieftain of the party, Mr. Segun Showumi, who I have interviewed on the show a couple of times, he said the police were right to have shut the national headquarters of the PDP in Abuja to avert a breakdown of law and order. Recall that the police barricaded the office of the PDP in Abuja after two factions of the National Working Committee of the party scheduled a meeting at the headquarters. Speaking with correspondent Onyeka Chinwosu, Showumi, who is a former governorship candidate of the party from Ogun State, said the legally recognized faction will soon be given access to the office.
It is normal for law enforcement to prevent the breakdown of law and order, since the rhetorics and counter-rhetoric coming from them was a bit on the high side. And therefore, rather than have a breakdown of law and order, I think security has provided the next sensible thing to do, which is prevent a breakdown of law and order. Hopefully, they will be able to ascertain who are legally allowed to hold meetings there, who is legally entitled to call a meeting and concave a meeting, and those who are just trying to have a private club of their constant ego.
You see, the amazing thing about communication is there is such a thing as... Okay, maybe I don't have the official term, right? It will come to me. But presentation matters. The headlines talking about the police taking over the PDP headquarters use words such as siege, and many words that suggested that it was a capture. Showumi granted an interview and says it is for security, to avoid a breakdown of law and order. Same event, different descriptions. But Mr. Showumi said the party constitution does not envisage anyone to go against the decision of the national chairman and secretary of the party.
Once the chairman and the secretary of the party are on the same position on an issue, that's the end of the matter. Because the constitution of our party does not imagine that the two main characters in determining the organizational integrity of the party will take a position, and some other people will be calling themselves all sorts of titles, which they cannot even derive power to do anything outside the NWC that is fully concaved by hierarchy of their positions.
He expressed optimism that the crisis in the party will be resolved soon. And, well, you know that the National Executive Committee of the party affirmed Samuel Anyanwu as the National Secretary. Acting National Chairman of the party, Umar Damagum, made the confirmation while speaking with newsmen after the NEC meeting in Abuja on Monday. Damagum also said the NEC agreed to fix its next meeting for July 23rd, 2025, where members will finalize decisions on the party's convention.
We were all together and we all agreed that Senator Anyanwu will continue to act as National Secretary. and also to bring the issue of convention, to bring it up in the next, which is slated for 23rd of next month. At that time, we will be able to convene a proper next.
I'm not a prophet, but I completely disagree with Mr. Showumi. The crisis rocking the PDP will not be resolved soon, and I really don't have to be spiritual or be a seer to see it. It just doesn't seem well. Because if you study crises of parties, there are stages, right? Say, for example, there are a few failed marriages that you are studying, and in the trajectory, based on history, you notice before all of these marriages ended, there were 2, 3, 4 steps that were taken. There were some actions that preceded the final dissolution of the marriage. And then there is speculation that another marriage is about to end. Then you're also seeing a pattern. The same things that led to the end of the marriage of marriage 1, marriage 2, marriage 3, 4. This number 5 is also going down that same lane. You don't have to be smart to draw conclusions and say, based on what I know, based on what I've seen, based on existing patterns, this marriage would very likely end soon. The PDP has exhibited all of those factors. So, Mr. Showumi, unfortunately, from what we are seeing, this crisis might not end anytime soon.
I pray and hope that people do not begin to invent their own private interpretation to what they consider to be the rules of the game. I believe that when the pain in somebody's leg gets so hard until he has to cry, ouch, maybe that thorn that is in the leg is about to come out. I believe very strongly that anytime from now that they have gotten to the peak of the crisis, they will be able to get out of it.
They would not be able to get out of it, sir. I'm sorry. And I'm not even an enemy of the PDP. They will not anytime soon. Unless there is some divine intervention. God himself or 2 of the top-ranking angels in heaven say, God, let's not bother you. We're interested in PDP's matter. Then I'll say, you know what? Let's just intervene. But it must be divine. It must come from above. Now the PDP has factions. Now in conversation, we're now saying the committee will decide which is the authentic faction. And the problem with crises rocking parties, the problem with a lack of internal democracy in political parties, the problem with these kinds of issues is that factions in Nigeria are always around a person, not a project, not a policy, not an ideology. It's always about persons. Think of any political crisis. Just think about it. Remember, it was always about who occupies this position. Okay, let's take the APC in Rivers State. Tony Okocha is the chairman. Emeka is the chairman. Who is the chairman? Even in talking about it, you say the Amechi-led APC or the this one-led APC. It's always about a man occupying a position. Who is supposed to be the main person? What's happening with the PDP now? Samuel Anyanwu or what's the name of the other guy? Has to be the secretary. Even in Labour Party, when they had their problems, they say it is Julius Abure that is the chairman. It is always about who is occupying this position. And if one person that has support from people does not occupy that position, what do? They leave and create a faction. They never ever have problems because of a difference in ideology. You would never hear them say, oh, we said the party should do something like this, and they wanted to do it like that, so we are angry. No, it's always around, we want this person to occupy this position. Now, on the other side, let me take you to an example I like to use because, well, I've read more than is required about the civil rights movement in America. At the same time, you had Martin Luther King and Malcolm X fighting for the interest of black people in the US. They were at loggerheads. They were at some point maybe considered enemies. But you know what? Their differences were never about who is the leader of black people. It was always about their strategies. Martin Luther, who was, well, a cleric, Reverend Martin Luther, some people called him, was more about embracing peace. You know, when they slap you on the left, you turn the right. When he granted interviews, he always talked about embracing the white man, finding a way that we can resolve. Malcolm X, on the other hand, did not have time for that rubbish. His own was, if they give you, you give them back. Fire for fire. If you watch some of his speeches, you saw his interviews, you heard him speak, you always heard him talk about black supremacy and how the black man was not supposed to take nonsense. And every time Malcolm X and Martin Luther clashed, it was always about their ideology. This one said we should be calm. This one said we should be confrontational. Those are the kind of things that political parties should differ on. Ideology, not who is. Assuming two of them now came out and say, I will be the one, the voice of the black people. This one said, no, it's Martin Luther. Then you know that is a shallow argument. Why is our politics always around the position of a person? Who is the leader of the party? Who is the chairman of the party? Who is the national secretary? You now call the two people that are fighting for it, say, okay, give us your strategies. They say, well, what is important is let us first know who is before we tell you what was. After the break, we talk. Stay with us.
The show continues after this break on Nigeria in